You are a woman. You carry within yourself the wisdom of the women who came before you in your very cells. You shouldn't be silenced. If you clicked on this video, it means you want to reclaim your femininity. You want to start being feminine again. Maybe you want to be girly, or maybe you want to look ladylike and sound and feel and behave in a ladylike manner. In any case, you're interested in femininity. Now, I can see that you have been struggling. Maybe there are some obstacles in your way that have been keeping you from becoming your most feminine self again. Well, today I want to talk about 6 of the biggest lies that we've been fed that are making it more difficult for you to get back to your femininity. Stay until the end because number 6 is going to change the way that you relate to your femininity and the very way that you see it. Hello, my darling, and welcome to the very first episode of the Velvet Index, a private, luxurious catalogue of truths for women who are evolved, self-aware, and quietly powerful. I am Anna, and on this channel we talk all about femininity. We talk about becoming the woman that you truly deserve to be. We talk about becoming the magnetic woman of your dreams, and we talk about it with truth, with honesty. So you definitely need to join our little secret society, and you can do so by subscribing to this channel and ringing the notification bell. If you haven't been living under a rock, and if you're not a starfish, you probably know about this one. And as a matter of fact, you've probably even internalized it. And it's the lie that being feminine, or anything that has to do with femininity, equals weakness. Being a woman means being weak. Being a girl means being weak. You hit like a girl, you play like a girl, you cry like a girl. Everything you do like a girl. This is a highly sexist, highly misogynistic way of looking at anything feminine. And this has been fed to us since our very childhood. How many times have you heard a man say to his son, "Stop crying like a little girl"? How many times have you heard people around you say, "Oh, he hits like a girl, that's weak, that sucks"? How many times have we heard people mention male genitalia if they want to say that somebody is brave, courageous, that they are audacious and ambitious and strong, and that they do what they say they do? How many times, I ask you? We ourselves as women have learned to internalize this idea that whatever is feminine is weak, that whatever is feminine is bad. And how many of us, because we heard this message so very often, how many of us have decided to put aside our femininity because we don't want to be seen as weak, we don't want to be seen as bad in a world that is male dominated? Our entire society, including women, have been taught to devalue traits deemed as feminine, hobbies deemed as feminine, professions deemed as feminine. All of them are seen as weaker, not as difficult, not as hard, easy to do, and therefore weaker. But when you're told that something that is an intrinsic, an inherent part of you that you cannot reject, that you cannot remove no matter how hard you try, that it's negative and it's weak and it's bad, how does that make you feel? Of course you're bound to have mental health problems. Of course you're bound to self-silence and to try to reject your femininity. But what if that isn't the solution? What if the solution is a bit different? What if the solution is more about accepting your femininity and changing the narrative around it, instead of listening to what everybody else wants to say to you and just living by their rules? The second lie is that femininity is only for certain body types or appearances. We've seen this in film, we've seen this in media, this has been screamed at us by advertising campaigns, in books even sometimes, on social media, even more ever since social media became what it is today. We all have this image of what a feminine woman looks like. She is skinny, she is thin, she has a tiny waist, she has really long hair, and she looks a certain specific way. She has this certain specific body type. A feminine woman is basically a Victoria's Secret angel. Tall, thin, flawless, she has perfect skin, she is just an ideal of beauty. If this is a lie that you still believe in, I pray you look at yourself in the mirror and find all of the small ways in which you are feminine. You may have small breasts or be flat. That doesn't make you less feminine. You may have a little bit more body hair. That does not make you less feminine. You may have short hair and an androgynous look, and that does not make you less feminine. Yes, maybe you don't really look like a Victoria's Secret angel. Heck, I don't look like a Victoria's Secret angel. And for the longest time, I would look at myself and think, I'm not really feminine. I'm not feminine enough. I don't look feminine. I don't feel feminine. Truthfully, if you are a woman and you live in your body and you are existing in your female body, that is where your femininity begins. You don't have to look like a Victoria's Secret angel. You don't have to look like a model. You also don't have to have these incredible curves. You don't have to have the biggest bosom ever. You don't have to have the longest hair ever to be feminine, or the biggest lips ever. You don't have to be a hyper feminine to be feminine. You can be an androgynous type of feminine. You can be a mild type of feminine, and that is okay. If you need somebody to give you permission, I am giving you permission. It's okay. Take it and run with it and exist with it. Because femininity is a way of being. It's not a look. It's not a style. It's not the makeup that you put on. It's not the 10 kilos that you lost. No, being feminine is the way that you are, the way that you feel inside. And granted, yes, sometimes we may lose that spark, we may lose that feeling, but we lose it inside of ourselves. Remember this, you don't lose it outside of you and go seek it outside of you. You lose it somewhere deep inside of you, and you have to look deeper inside of you to find it. The third lie, which actually infuriates me, and I've seen it with the rise of the red pill movement, and I've seen it, and I have issues with all movements, to be quite frank with you, with the way that all of these movements have been telling us how to be feminine and how to be women. But this one, it just grinds my gears, and it's that being feminine or being a woman equals submission and silence, that you have to submit. If you are a woman by your nature, you must submit to a man, and you must be silent. Let me tell you a little anecdote, a little story. I was my most feminine when I was a little girl, and I was also my loudest when I was a little girl. Nobody would make me submit. Nobody would silence me. Nobody would make me say something I didn't believe in. Even as a little girl. Did I know that there were moments where I shouldn't say certain things, or I should keep certain things to myself, or I should avoid certain conflicts? Yes, absolutely. Even as a little girl and as a little child, I had the brains to be strategic in my communication, whether it be with, adults or with other children. I had that brain that I could use, but I was never submissive, never silenced. Even with my teachers, and I can tell you, they hated it. People who will ask you to submit and shrink and be silent are people who are afraid and scared of your individuality. People who are afraid and scared of your femininity. People who are afraid and scared of your strength. I was never asked to be submissive. I was never asked to be silent by my parents, because they weren't threatened by me. They weren't threatened by my femininity. My father never tried to silence me. He never said, "You are a girl, you are a woman, you should never open your mouth or respond." No, he did quite the opposite. You are a woman. You carry within yourself the wisdom of the women who came before you in your very cells. You shouldn't be silenced. Those who are afraid of you, those who are scared, because you are an individual who has strength, because you're an individual that has feminine wisdom inside of you, those ones, they know that their argument wouldn't even last a second, that you would break them down, and they would just break down crying in front of you if you open your mouth and if you don't submit to them. So what do? They tell you that in order to be feminine, you have to be submissive, because not being submissive is going to break down your femininity. So, my darling, next time some man asks you to be submissive and asks you to be silent and tells you otherwise, you're not feminine. Think long and hard about what is it that scares him so much in you that he wants to silence you? What is it that scares him so much in you being your most feminine self and being so connected to the essence of your femininity that scares him so much that he wants you to just submit and shut up? Lie number 4 is that if you've been hurt or traumatized, that femininity is not for you. And I can completely understand where this one is coming from. Because listen, I have been hurt. I have been traumatized. And one of the reasons why I was hurt was because I was a girl. One of the reasons why I was hurt was because I didn't have the physical strength or the muscular strength to fight and defend myself, because I was a little girl, because I was a child. And with time, I have come to equate being a little girl, being feminine, doing feminine things, to being weak and to being in danger. And in a way, it is true. You know what they say, that men are the apex predators of women. Because they have the muscular strength, they can try and make us submit to their will, even though we don't want it. Of course, it's not all men, but usually it's twisted, sick, absolutely horrifying, horrendous men. I tried with myself to reject my femininity and I stayed away from it. Heck, I even had a time in my life where I thought I wanted to be a boy. But the truth is, I was not. I was never a boy. I was never meant to be a boy. I was just so scared of my femininity. I just felt like I was in so much danger because of my femininity. I felt like I was in so much danger because of the way people hurt me through my femininity. Because my femininity was shining so bright that some men who knew they couldn't have it, who knew they couldn't own it, did things to hurt me, did things to try and soil that very femininity, to steal it from me. Probably 9 out of 10 of the women who are watching this video will have had a similar experience. If you are one of the lucky ones who haven't had an experience like that, please leave a comment and tell us what your experience with femininity is like. And if you have had an experience like that, I want you to write a comment of encouragement to any other woman who has had a similar experience. Now, it was only through working in therapy that I understood rejecting my femininity was not punishing those people. Rejecting my femininity was not giving them any pain. I wasn't getting my revenge on them by rejecting my femininity. And I also understood that just because somebody tried to steal it from me, somebody tried to soil it, doesn't mean they managed to, because it is inside of me. It is inside of us as women. Our femininity lives within us. So no matter what type of trauma somebody tried to inflict upon you, be it SA, be it bullying, you have to remember that doesn't put a barrier between you and femininity forever. You have to open your eyes and realize that the reason why you were hurt and traumatized isn't because of your femininity. It is actually because those people are sick. They are the ones to blame, not your femininity. I would even say that being the most feminine self you can be a protection. As much as there are sick and twisted men that try to steal it from you and that try to soil it and that try to dim your light, there's going to be millions of women and millions of men also that are ready to come to the rescue because they value femininity, because they value your femininity maybe even more than you've learned to value it. So let's exorcise the thought that because you've been hurt or because you've been traumatized, that femininity isn't for you. Lie number 5, and sit down for this one. Lie number 5 is that being feminine means seeking male approval. Ladies, who is going to tell them, oh, she's seeking male approval, oh, I thought you were better than this? It's really sad, but sometimes it's even coming from women. So many women are also so disconnected from their femininity that they feel threatened once a woman decides to come closer to her femininity, and it becomes about men. Oh, you're trying to attract men. You are an attention whore. When are we going to stop with this? In so many cases I've seen, women try to become more feminine to seek female approval. And tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree with me, but I've seen so many girls and women become more feminine once they start to create friendships with more feminine girls. And not because they want to be rivals, and not because they've been bullied into it, but because they want to have that feeling of sisterhood. They want to have that feeling of femininity within themselves, but they also want the approval of the girls around them. Now, I don't think you should try to seek approval in your femininity from anybody but yourself. I don't think you should become more feminine for a woman's or a man's approval. I think you should try to reconnect with your femininity and reclaim your femininity to get approval from your own self, because that is the only person you're going to be with from your birth to your death. That's just my opinion. Don't want to listen to me? Don't listen to me. And here comes the final lie. And before I tell you this lie, I want you to take a second and think about what it means for you to be feminine. What femininity is like for you. Write me a comment, tell me what it means for you to be feminine before I tell you lie number 6. The biggest lie to this day that has been told to women, and that women have believed and women have integrated in their being, is that as a woman, you have to perform femininity. As a woman, you have to do something to be feminine. As a woman, you have to add extra things to be feminine. That is a myth. The truth of it is that you don't need to perform your femininity. You don't need anything to be feminine. You don't need to put makeup on to be feminine. You don't need long hair to be feminine. You don't need clothes to be feminine. You don't need to speak with your voice in a certain way or do certain gestures to be feminine, or to stand or sit in a specific way to be feminine. And that's just because you are a woman. That is ingrained in your very biology. That is ingrained in the way your hips are formed. It is ingrained in your chromosomes. It is ingrained in your very being. Femininity is not a costume that you put on. It exists within you. It is your birthright as a girl, as a woman. When I discovered this and I understood this and I got this insight, it was so liberating to me, because it meant I didn't have to make an effort. And funnily enough, it became so much easier to do all of the performative acts. It became easier to dress feminine and to put on makeup and do my hair in a feminine way, because I understood that I wasn't doing that to be feminine. I was doing it on top of my femininity. I was doing it as an extra. And even if tomorrow I lose all my hair and I don't wear makeup and I'm only dressed in baggy clothes, I would still be a woman and I'd still be feminine. That was the biggest liberation when it came to my femininity. Remember that these actions that we perform, doing your makeup for instance, or walking in a specific way, wearing a specific type of clothes, keeping your hair long and styling it in a specific way. All of this is a performance, yes, and it is fun for us to do. We want to do it. We want to experiment. We want to add extra things on top of what already exists, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think the issue is that we have come to equate this as being a woman and being feminine and being a girl. And I think that is completely wrong. I think it's a very nice cherry on top. It's like the frosting on top of your cake, but the cake is still there even if you remove the frosting. The cake is still there even if it has no cherries on top. That's what you need to remember. You are a female, you are a woman, you are complete in your womanhood. And all of the performative acts that you put on top of that are just fun for you to do, for you to embody it, maybe with more baldness, and that's okay, that's completely fine. But don't go thinking that just because you don't wear makeup, or just because you don't wear dresses, or just because you have short hair, that makes you not feminine. No, that isn't true. And I really want you to integrate this in your mind. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helps you in your endeavor towards claiming your femininity. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. You can also find me on my other social media on Instagram and TikTok. I hope to see you very soon. Goodbye for now.